The first thing I saw when I walked into the courtroom was her smile. Regina sat beside my husband like she belonged there, legs crossed, hand resting lightly on his knee. Her lips curved in that slow, knowing way that said she was enjoying this. When William noticed me, his mouth twitched. Not guilt, not surprise, amusement. I took my seat alone. "Is that her?" someone whispered behind me. "She looks tired," another voice said. I kept my eyes forward. If I looked at him too long, I might break. Regina leaned closer to William and murmured, "She actually came." He chuckled softly. "Of course she did." I heard every word. The bailiff called the room to order. "All rise." The judge entered, expression carved from stone. Everyone sat again, but William stayed relaxed, arms draped over the bench, like this was his office. Like he owned the room. His lawyer stood first. "Your Honor," he said smoothly, "this is a simple case. A marriage that failed. A woman who refuses to accept that failure." I swallowed. William didn't look at me. Regina did. "She's after money," the lawyer continued. "She contributed nothing to the company. She signed the agreements willingly." I leaned toward my attorney and whispered, "Object." He shifted in his seat. "There's no grounds." Regina smiled wider. The lawyer gestured toward me. "Mrs. Hale has been emotional throughout this process." William finally turned to look at me. His eyes were cold. "She's always been emotional," he said aloud. A ripple of laughter passed through the room. The judge lifted a hand. "Mr. Hale, you'll speak when addressed." William nodded politely. "Of course, Your Honor." Regina squeezed his hand. My chest burned. I pressed my palms together under the table to stop them from shaking. "Mrs. Hale," the judge said, looking at me for the first time, "do you wish to respond?" I stood. "Yes," I said, and my voice surprised me by not breaking. Your Honor," William's lawyer interrupted, "we request that statements be limited to submitted testimony." The judge paused, then nodded. "Granted." I was told to sit. As I lowered myself back onto the bench, Regina leaned forward and whispered, "You should have stayed home." William didn't stop her. The clerk began reading documents, asset lists, accounts I didn't recognize, numbers so clean they looked fake. "Mrs. Hale," the lawyer said, "you signed these." "Yes," I said. "I trusted my husband." William laughed. Not loud, just enough. "Trust isn't a legal argument," the lawyer replied. "No," I said quietly, "but lies are." He ignored me. The judge scribbled notes. Regina checked her phone. My attorney said nothing. I felt invisible. When the hearing ended for the day, William stood and adjusted his cufflinks. "This went well," he said to Regina. Then louder, "I'll see you at dinner." He walked past me like I wasn't there. Regina lingered. "You look so small in person," she said. I met her eyes for the first time. "Enjoy the smile while it lasts." Her brow twitched. "What was that?" "Nothing," I said. "Just a thought." She laughed and walked away. When the courtroom emptied, I stayed seated. My attorney cleared his throat. "We should manage expectations." I reached into my bag and felt the edge of the file. "I am," I said. The second hearing started with applause. Not literal applause, but approval. The way people leaned forward, the way the judge nodded as William's lawyer spoke, the way the reporters' pens moved faster when his name was mentioned. "He built everything himself," the lawyer said. "My client married young. He made mistakes, but success changes people." William nodded solemnly. "He outgrew the marriage," the lawyer continued. "Mrs. Hale did not." I felt heat rush to my face. Regina sat with her arms folded, watching me like I was entertainment. "Isn't it true," the lawyer asked me, "that you stopped working years ago?" "I supported my husband," I said. He smiled kindly. "That wasn't the question." "I stopped working outside the home," I said. "Inside, I never stopped." William leaned forward. "She redecorated," he said lightly. "That was her contribution." Laughter again. The judge didn't smile this time. "Let's stay respectful," he said. William held up his hands. "Of course." The lawyer pulled up documents on the screen. "These are the prenuptial agreements. These are the amendments. Mrs. Hale signed every one." I stared at my signature, over and over. "Did you read them?" the lawyer asked. I was told they were standard. "Did you read them?" he repeated. "No," I said. Gasps whispered behind me. "So you're saying," he said gently, "that a billionaire forced you to sign paperwork without understanding it?" "I'm saying I trusted my husband," I said. William shook his head. "That's not my fault." Regina leaned over and whispered loudly, "She's playing the victim." I closed my eyes for a moment. When I opened them, the judge was watching me closely. "Mrs. Hale," he said, "do you have evidence that contradicts these documents?" "Yes," I said. William stiffened. His lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we've reviewed discovery. There is nothing—" "I wasn't allowed to submit it," I said. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" My attorney advised against it. My attorney shifted uncomfortably. The judge's gaze sharpened. "Mrs. Hale, you are entitled to present evidence." William's lawyer spoke quickly. "We object to any last-minute theatrics." The judge looked at him. "Objection noted. Overruled." William turned to me. "What are you doing?" I reached into my bag but stopped. "Not today," I said. Regina laughed. "You don't have anything." I met her eyes. "You're very confident for someone who wasn't there." Her smile faltered. The judge called a recess. As everyone stood, William grabbed my arm. "You're embarrassing yourself," he hissed. I pulled free. "You embarrassed me for years." "You think you can win?" he said. "This court is a business." "So was our marriage," I said, "and you ran it into the ground." He stared at me, stunned. Regina stepped between us. "Come on, William." As they walked away, I sat back down, heart pounding. My attorney leaned toward me. "If you have something, it needs to be real." "It is," I said. "Then why wait?" "Because," I whispered, fingers tightening around my bag, "they haven't laughed for the last time." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car outside the courthouse long after the lights went dark, hands resting on the steering wheel, replaying every word they had said about me. Emotional, lazy, bitter. I laughed once, quietly, because the sound felt strange coming from my throat. "You really don't know me?" I whispered to the empty seat beside me. The rain started without warning. Soft at first, then harder, like the sky was trying to wash something clean. My phone buzzed. "William, you're making a mistake." I didn't reply. Another message followed. "William, this ends badly for you." I turned the phone face down. I remembered another night, years ago. William pacing the living room, tie loosened, whiskey glass sloshing in his hand. "They'll never find it," he'd said, laughing. "It's perfect. Shell companies inside shell companies." I'd been on the couch, pretending to read. "Even if they did," he continued, "I've got experts who'll swear under oath that everything's clean." I'd looked up then. "Is it?" He'd smiled at me. "You worry too much." That was the night I started recording. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted insurance. In the present, I stepped out of the car and walked into the rain. It soaked through my coat. I didn't care. I needed the cold. I needed to feel something solid. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Regina. Regina. You don't have to do this. Walk away with dignity. I laughed out loud. The sound startled me. Dignity? I said to no one. I drove home and unlocked the drawer I hadn't opened in years. Inside was the old phone, the flash drive, copies of bank transfers I barely understood when I first saw them. I sat on the floor and plugged everything into my laptop. William's voice filled the room, calm, confident, careless. I moved the money before the quarter ends. That way, the auditors never see it. My hands shook, but my mind was clear. You really thought I was stupid, I said softly. The next morning, my attorney called. We need to talk, he said. I know, I replied. You're nervous. He sighed. This is a powerful man. So am I said, surprising both of us. There was a pause. What do you have? Enough, I said. But I'm not giving it to you yet. You can't spring this on the court, he warned. Watch me. When I hung up, I looked at my reflection in the dark screen. My eyes looked different, sharper. I'm done being quiet, I told myself. The next hearing couldn't come fast enough. The third hearing felt heavier the moment I walked in. William noticed it too. He sat straighter. Regina's smile was smaller, tighter. You look tired, she whispered as I passed. I slept great, I said. Did you? Her eyes narrowed. William's lawyer stood first again, confident but rushed. We'd like to conclude proceedings today, he said. This case has dragged on unnecessarily. I raised my hand. The judge looked at me. Yes, Mrs. Hale? I'd like to submit new evidence, I said. William's chair scraped loudly as he stood. Absolutely not. Sit down, the judge said sharply. William froze, then slowly sat. His lawyer recovered quickly. Your Honor, there has been no disclosure. There was no opportunity, I said. The judge studied me. What kind of evidence? Financial, I replied, and recorded statements. The room shifted. I felt it, like air pressure changing. Regina leaned toward William. Did you tell her anything? William didn't answer. The judge nodded once. Proceed. My attorney looked like he might faint as I stood and walked forward. I placed the file on the clerk's desk. It landed with a dull thud. What's that? William demanded. The truth, I said. His lawyer objected. This is prejudicial. So is lying, I replied. The judge raised a hand. I'll decide what's prejudicial. He opened the file. His brow furrowed. What am I looking at? He asked. Transfers to offshore accounts, I said. Hidden assets excluded from discovery. William laughed, too loudly. That's absurd. Play the recording, the judge said. My hands shook as I pressed the button. William's voice filled the courtroom. They can't touch it. Not if it's layered right. Silence followed. Heavy. Suffocating. Regina's face drained of color. That's not, William began. Enough, the judge snapped. The expert witness shifted in his seat. The judge turned to him. You testified these accounts didn't exist. The man swallowed. Based on the information provided. And if that information was incomplete? I wouldn't know. William stood again. This is taken out of context. The judge leaned forward. Context rarely makes fraud better, Mr. Hale. A murmur spread through the room. I looked at William. Really looked at him. He wasn't smiling anymore. Did you know? I asked him quietly. He glared at me. You're doing this out of spite. No, I said. I'm doing it out of truth. Regina stood suddenly. This is insane. The judge turned his gaze on her. Sit down. She sat. The judge closed the file slowly. We will be revisiting asset disclosure. William's lawyer whispered furiously to him. I returned to my seat. Heart pounding, legs weak. My attorney leaned over. You just changed everything. I nodded. I know. Across the room, William stared at me like I was someone new. For the first time since this began, he looked afraid. And for the first time in years, I felt powerful. The judge didn't call a recess right away. That was the first sign William had lost control. He flipped through the file again, slower this time. Each page seemed heavier than the last. William's lawyer whispered urgently, but William waved him off, jaw tight. That recording proves nothing, William said, standing. It's private conversation. You were discussing financial concealment, the judge replied. That makes it relevant. It was hypothetical, William snapped. I laughed before I could stop myself. William turned on me. You think this is funny? No, I said. I think it's familiar. You always said that when you were lying. Regina shifted beside him. She's twisting your words. I looked at her. You weren't there when he said them. Her lips parted. No sound came out. The judge gestured toward the expert witness. You testified under oath that all accounts were disclosed. Yes, the man said weakly. I stood again. May I ask him a question? The judge nodded. I turned to the witness. Did you review accounts linked to Hale Strategic Holdings? He hesitated. That entity wasn't provided. Because it was hidden, I said. Did you review transfers routed through Larkspur Finance? He swallowed hard. No. Did you know, I continued, that Hale Strategic Holdings owns Larkspur Finance? William slammed his hand on the table. This is a witch hunt. The judge's voice was ice. One more outburst, and you'll be removed. William sat, breathing hard. The witness wiped sweat from his brow. I wasn't aware. So your testimony was incomplete, I said. Yes. And misleading, the judge added. Regina leaned toward William. Say something. William said nothing. The judge looked at me again. Mrs. Hale, how long have you had this information? Years, I said. Why bring it now? I met his eyes. Because today was the day they stopped laughing. William stared at the table. The judge exhaled slowly. This court does not look kindly on deception. He turned to William's lawyer. You will provide full disclosure within 48 hours. That's impossible, the lawyer protested. Then prepare to explain why, the judge replied. The courtroom buzzed. Reporters scribbled furiously. Regina stood abruptly. This is outrageous. The judge didn't look at her. You are not a party to this case. Her face flushed. She sat back down, trembling. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not joy, control. William finally looked at me again. You planned this? Yes, I said, quietly, like you taught me. The judge called a recess. As people stood, William grabbed my arm again, harder this time. You think you've won, he hissed. I pulled free. I think you finally see me. His eyes were wild. I'll bury you. I leaned close. You already tried. I survived. When he walked away, his steps were unsteady. For the first time, his mask had slipped. When we returned, the courtroom felt different. People avoided William's eyes. Regina sat rigid, hands clenched in her lap. My attorney finally sat up straight. The judge entered and didn't waste time. "Mr. Hale," he said, "you are now under court order to disclose all financial holdings." William stood slowly. "I will comply." His voice lacked its usual confidence. The judge continued, "Failure to do so will result in sanctions." William nodded. "Understood." I watched his throat move as he swallowed. My attorney cleared his throat. "Your Honor, in light of this evidence, we request a reassessment of asset division." The judge looked at him, then at me. "Granted." William's lawyer objected weakly, but the sound didn't carry anymore. Regina whispered, "Fix this." William snapped, "Stop!" Her eyes widened. I was called back to the stand. "Mrs. Hale," the judge said, "why did you remain silent for so long?" I thought of nights alone, of signatures, of trust. "Because I believed him," I said, "and when I stopped believing, I learned to listen." William shook his head. "You were spying on me." "I was protecting myself," I replied. The judge nodded slightly. William's lawyer stood. "This marriage failed for personal reasons." "Yes," I said, "because he replaced me." Regina gasped. "That's not—" William cut her off. "Enough." The judge looked at Regina. "Ms. You may be called later." Her face drained. "Called for what?" "For testimony," the judge replied. William's eyes widened. "She has nothing to do with this." "She may," the judge said, "given her proximity." Regina's hands began to shake. I watched William then. Really watched him. The way his shoulders slumped. The way his confidence leaked away. "This court will reconvene tomorrow," the judge announced. As the gavel struck, I felt something settle in my chest. Outside, cameras flashed. "Mrs. Hale," a reporter called, "did you expect this outcome?" I paused. I expected the truth to matter. William exited through a side door. Regina didn't follow him. That night, I sat alone in my apartment. I poured a glass of water and stared at the city lights. My phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Please call me." I knew it was her. I didn't respond. I wasn't chasing closure anymore. I was walking toward justice. The courtroom was silent when we returned the next morning. No whispers, no smirks. Even the reporters seemed careful now, like they knew they were about to witness something irreversible. William sat alone. Regina was not beside him. The judge entered and didn't look at anyone as he took his seat. "Let's proceed," he said. William's lawyer stood, thinner somehow, voice tight. "Your Honor, my client has complied with the disclosure order." The judge nodded. "And the court has reviewed the submission." William shifted in his chair. I held my breath. The judge adjusted his glasses. "Mr. Hale, do you recognize these entities?" A screen lit up behind him. Names filled it. Dozens. William stared straight ahead. "Yes." "Did you disclose them during initial proceedings?" "No," William said quietly. A ripple ran through the room. "Why not?" the judge asked. William's jaw clenched. "I was advised they were protected." "Protected?" the judge repeated. "From your wife?" William didn't answer. The judge turned to me. "Mrs. Hale, do you recognize these?" "Yes," I said. "Some of them." William finally looked at me. His eyes were tired, empty. The judge leaned forward. "This court finds clear evidence of asset concealment." William's lawyer tried to speak, but the judge raised a hand. "Enough," he said. "I've heard more than sufficient argument." Regina entered then, escorted by a clerk. She looked smaller without her confidence. "Ms. Regina," the judge said, "were you aware of these accounts?" She glanced at William. He didn't look back. I knew some money was moved," she said. "I didn't ask questions." William closed his eyes. The judge nodded. That will be all. Regina left without another word. The judge turned back to William. You presented yourself as transparent. William's voice cracked. I made mistakes. No, the judge said. You made choices. He straightened a stack of papers. This court rules as follows. I felt my pulse in my ears. All concealed assets will be considered marital property. William stiffened. Mrs. Hale is awarded 50% of all disclosed and undisclosed holdings. A gasp filled the room. Additionally, the judge continued, the court refers this matter to the Financial Crimes Division. William stood abruptly. You can't sit, the judge snapped. William sat. The gavel struck. It is so ordered. For a moment, no one moved. Then cameras flashed. My attorney leaned toward me. You won. I shook my head slowly. No, I was finally heard. William remained seated as everyone stood. As I walked past him, he spoke softly. You destroyed me. I stopped. You destroyed us, I said. I just told the truth. He didn't reply. Outside, reporters surged forward. Mrs. Hale, how does it feel? I thought for a moment. Like breathing after being underwater. I didn't celebrate. That surprised people. They expected champagne, smiles, victory speeches. Instead, I went home. The apartment was quiet. No echoes of arguments. No shadows of lies. Just space. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages I didn't open. Calls I didn't answer. That night, I slept without dreaming. The next morning, my attorney called. They're opening an investigation, he said. I know, I replied. More people may be involved. I figured. He hesitated. You did something important. I looked out the window. I did something necessary. Later, I ran into Regina outside a cafe. She froze when she saw me. I didn't know, she said quickly, about the extent of it. I studied her. She looked tired, older. You knew enough, I said. She swallowed. He said you were weak. I smiled faintly. He said a lot of things. She looked down. What will you do now? I thought about it. Live. She nodded and walked away. Weeks passed. The headlines faded. New scandals replaced old ones. William's name still surfaced sometimes. Never with admiration. One evening, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a single line. I underestimated you. I folded the paper and placed it in the drawer with the old phone. Some chapters don't need answers. That night, I stood on my balcony, city lights glowing below. I thought about the courtroom, the laughter, the silence when it ended. If you had been there, what would you have thought? Was justice served, or was it simply overdue? Tell me what you believe. And if you want more stories, where the quiet ones rise, and the truth finally speaks, subscribe and stay with me.